Everything you are about to witness is for entertainment purposes only.
ICE is buying incinerators, and now we have proof. A Navy contract was just released showing the Navy is managing the construction of a massive network of immigration detention centers across the nation. And what's included in the contract is extremely disturbing. It describes tent cities that can hold 10,000 people each with a specific provision for biohazard incinerators under the medical and death section. That means they are specifically planning for death and choosing to burn the evidence right there on site. The reason DHS is paying the Navy $55 billion for this is so they can get this nationwide network of giant detention centers with infrastructure for handling death built as quickly as possible. And they tried to do it quietly by updating the Navy's existing contract to make this deal instead of creating a new contract specifically for this. Here are my sources if you want more information.
So now the government is releasing documents on extraterrestrial life and aliens. Yeah, guess what? I don't really give a damn about aliens. I don't even think they exist. I don't think anything exists outside of us. I think the demons are here. And while they proceed to distract the masses on whether life exists outside of us or not, while we're literally seeing the government cover up for P3DOs who like to do rituals and consume babies. Yeah, the same people who are called crazy and warned about all this, maybe you guys should start looking into Project Bluebeam. They do anything to distract from what's actually happening.
What was the biggest thing for me when I really started researching this? That Benjamin Netanyahu funded Hamas.
Yes.
I mean, very reliable journalist, Israeli journalist, said he stuck cash in cars and drove it.
Suitcases.
Yes.
From the Qataris. And
Yes.
and the Qataris say, well, it was to fund Gaza. He's open, Netanyahu. He said it in a meeting with the Likud party. He said, we did this to divide and rule, basically, to prevent the Palestinian state by making sure there's two forces, two powers, and the Palestinians are never united. That was the essence of what he told his own party.
Love that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Love that. This was a special token of affection given by myself and the First Lady to Prime Minister and the First Lady of Israel. And it's a key, we call it a key to the White House, and it's a key to our country and to our hearts. And you've been an amazing leader for a long period of time, and this is, in many respects, the big day, because this is something that's very special. And, we just left UAE and Bahrain. We're going to meet outside in a ceremony, and it's just a very important event, and it's an honor to have you with us, baby. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I have said, and this is true, that you have the key to the hearts of the people of Israel because of all the great things you've done for the Jewish state and the Jewish people. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, you do understand that Trump's war with Venezuela has very little to do with narco-terrorists and has everything to do with the state of Israel, right? And before you think to yourself, what does that even mean? Let me explain to you what's happening. Israel is getting ready to bomb Iran again. That little war that we started earlier this year when Donald Trump bombed Iran was just the precursor for Israel to start a full-blown war with Iran, because apparently they're still developing nukes, even though Donald Trump said we, quote, obliterated their program. And what's going to happen when Israel and Iran go into a full-scale war that makes what happened earlier this year look like a joke? Well, the U.S. isn't going to get oil from the Middle East quite as easily, and so Donald Trump is taking preemptive measures to make sure that we can invade Venezuela and steal their oil instead. It's all connected, people. Just pay attention to the facts.
Keep your eyes on Mexico, yes, but also keep your eyes on the files. While they have you completely distracted on what's happening in Jalisco, let's not forget that the Sinaloa cartel was mentioned in the Epstein files. Chapo was arrested during Trump's first presidency, and he was the leader of the cartel from Sinaloa. That's number one. Number two, Mencho, who is part of the CJ, was just killed. I don't find that coincidental. Quite frankly, just because he wasn't favored and loved as much as El Chapo was, we are seeing the same retaliation happen across Mexico. Claudia had already said that this was the reason why she wouldn't go after cartel leaders, because she prefers a more peaceful approach. So do I think that the US was involved in this? 100%. Do I think it's retaliation because we went to Cuba? 100%. Do I think that this is meant to distract us from reality of what's happening? 100%. And do I think that Mencho might be in the files? Yeah, maybe.
All right, guys, we have a situation unfolding throughout Mexico right now that is causing widespread unrest and violence. One of the country's most powerful cartel drug lords, known as El Mencho, has been killed in a Mexican Special Forces military operation targeting the Jalisco New Generation cartel, one of the most powerful and fastest growing criminal organizations in the country. The result of this operation has been widespread violence by what we can assume would be the members of the cartel. Puerto Vallarta seems to be hit the hardest. As a result, there's been a shelter in place within the city. All taxis and rideshare services have been suspended, and flights bound to Puerto Vallarta have been turned around and future flights canceled from countries like America, US, and I'm sure many more. There was reports of gunfire in Puerto Vallarta, with one witness reporting that while he was trying to flee the airport, not only did he see cars and buses on fire, he also seen men on motorcycles armed with machine guns as he tried to get to the airport. There are fires all throughout the country. The operation was initially launched in the municipality of Tapalpa, which sits roughly 300 kilometers southeast of Puerto Vallarta. The Canadian government, amongst many, have advised citizens in Jalisco state to shelter in place, keep a low profile, and follow the order of local authorities. According to reporting by the Associated Press, the Jalisco cartel is a pioneer in launching explosives from drones, installing mines, and has been aggressive in its attack of the military. I'm also seeing tons of fake videos from past events being posted as if they're from these current events in Mexico. So as always, keep your head on straight and get your information from credible sources.
Starlink satellites are literally falling back to Earth non-stop right now, and scientists are now warning that the debris is already damaging our ozone layer. Dude, this is obviously insane. Right now, there are over 9,000 different Starlink satellites in orbit, and SpaceX has plans for over 70,000 more. Whenever these satellites end, by the way, they're supposed to fall back to Earth and burn up in the atmosphere, and SpaceX says that they specifically designed them to completely disintegrate. But that's not what's happening. There was a 5-pound chunk of a Starlink satellite that crashed into a farm in Canada. Debris also randomly turned up in Poland, Kenya, North Carolina, and Algeria. So obviously they're not burning up like they're supposed to. The brand new generation satellites that are coming out right now weigh 2 metric tons each, which is now 8 times heavier than the original ones. They're saying that whenever these satellites burn up, they actually release a thing that's called aluminum oxide, and scientists are saying that a single particle of that can destroy thousands of ozone molecules. They also just found that the atmospheric aluminum oxide has already increased by 800% since 2016. And because it takes those particles 20 to 30 years to fully drift down, we won't see the full damage until the 2040s. So what are we doing?
Well, tell me if I'm not following this correctly. So Trump's tariffs were deemed illegal by the Supreme Court, which means that we were illegally taxed, but the companies, for the most part, didn't actually absorb that cost. They just made the products more expensive, and so the people had to pay for it. But now, since those companies were illegally taxed, even though they just charged us more for it, so it didn't cost them more money for it, they now could potentially get a federal payout for illegal taxes that they paid, but they just increased the prices, so it didn't actually cost them anything extra, but it cost us extra. But we're not getting the refunds. The businesses are getting the refunds. So it's the fucking PPP shit all fucking over again, where all these businesses get all this extra fucking money that they don't deserve, and then the regular people are just gonna be fucked, and then businesses are getting bailed out again. Yeah, right, great, right, awesome, love it, fucking love living.
All right. The best thing about the Epstein files coming out is people are finally starting to realize that nearly everybody is in the occult. We all know about our politicians. It's all of them. They're all in the occult of Baal. But the thing I keep trying to teach you is it's because nearly everybody is in the cult of Baal. And you can't wake the fake, right? But I've collected a couple of pictures of occultists so you can understand what the occult really looks like. Yeah, these girls right here and these girls, they're all in the occult. You can't wake the fake people. All we can do is expose them, expose them, expose them. Yeah, nearly everybody is in the cult of ball. That's how all these politicians get to be in position, because all of the people in the cult of ball are counting on these politicians to keep them safe. Yeah, but it's your friends, it's your family, it's your neighbors, it's the school teacher, it's the sheriff, it's the judge, it's the police, it's fucking everybody in the cult of ball. Are you starting to understand? The occult is all around you.
His primary audience is kids, is it not?
Yeah, it's children. And now he wants to open a bank, or he's opening a bank. Your kids can get a Mr. Beast credit card. Oh boy, can't wait.
It sounds like you feel like he shouldn't be given the power and privilege that he has.
I think he's an extremely dangerous person. And I think that I wish more people knew who he was behind the camera, because I think, not the kids, but especially the parents, like, I think they should know, because he is so popular and it does hold a lot of weight and influence. And even the candy bars he's selling at Walmart and stuff, like, I just think parents should know what they're supporting.
Are you worried about retaliation from him or his people?
I would say that there's a reason he hasn't sued me, because if we went to court, everything would come out in discovery and stuff he doesn't probably want on his public record forever. They know what I know and I know what they know, and it's just kind of is what it is.
You're badass.
I know too much.
Yeah.
I think that's the other problem, is I know too much. Wish I didn't.
Switch people out. And he does it right in front of them. And he says, like, yo, bro, like, I'll switch your wife out and I'll put another one of your wife inside of her body. And they're walking around and you think that's your wife, and it's not your wife. This is what's going on. It's no longer, like I said, it's no longer spiritual. We figured out how to, turn into spirit and exchange the soul in order to control the vessel. So if I have the vessel and I'm just nothing but spirit, I can ruin your life. That's what everybody has been going through. So they can't recognize it unless you say things like the switch. So when they watch that and they see that there's other people that can identify other than me, it's not just me playing games. It's the truth. We have to be careful with who we want. You'll be in the car with Paul, man, but you're really in the car with Peter. But that's Paul's body. But why is Peter in Paul's body? You know, I've been going through this for a while in order to figure out and identify every soul inside of every vessel.
So, since Liberation Day, there's about $175 billion in tariff revenue that is now in limbo. Do you have to refund $175 billion?
Think of it, Peter. Very fair question. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars, not millions, hundreds of billions of dollars.
No. That's not what you've been saying. You haven't been saying we've been taking in billions of dollars. Let me refresh your memory.
We're taking in trillions of dollars from tariffs. $18 trillion. $18 trillion. $18 trillion. Because of the tariffs, we've taken in more than think of this, $18 trillion.
You're not lying, are you? Because if you're not, and we did bring in $18 trillion, you owe us some money. Hey, chat, how many taxpayers are there in the United States?
As of the 2022 tax year, there were about 153.8 million individual income tax returns.
Hey, chat, what is $18 trillion divided by 153 million?
18 trillion divided by 153 million is about 117,647.
You owe me $117,000! Where's my motherfucking money? Obviously, none of us are gonna see a dime. Corporations are already filing lawsuits to get a return on the tariff revenue, even though we're the ones that paid for it. So that's cool.
The tariffs did exactly what they were supposed to. So we all know that we paid for the tariffs. So the Amazons and the Walmarts and the American companies that had to pay tariffs just raised their prices. So we paid that. And now that the Supreme Court has deemed it was illegal, those companies are going to sue. And where's that money going to come from? Oh, it's going to come from us, the taxpayers. So we're going to be paying the tariffs twice. Companies are not paying for any of it. What's new?
This particular area that we're talking about now, Israel, is a land that God gave through Abraham to a people that he chose. It was a people, a place, and a purpose. We can look at it that way. Christian Zionism, I want to go back because that's where we started.
I'm not going to let you off on this because you have said it 3 times that God gave this land to this people. And so it is entirely fair for me with respect to ask, what land are you talking about? Because I just read Genesis 15, as I have many times. And that land, I think it says, from the Nile to the Euphrates, which is, once again, basically the entire Middle East. So God gave that land to his people, the Jews, or he didn't. You're saying he did. What does that mean? Does Israel have the right to that land? Because you're appealing to Genesis. You're saying that's the original deed.
It would be fine if they took it all. The entirety of the world, there are about 16 million Jews total, and 8 million of them live here. The rest live mostly in New York or South Florida and a few other places.
Okay.
So this is a small population of people. They have connection to this land. Historically, biblically.
Do they?
Yes, they do.
If Bibi's family, we know they lived in Eastern Europe. There's no evidence they ever lived here. He's not religious.
But
in what sense?
Ancestrally,
do you have his family tree? No, we don't.
Do you?
He doesn't. So no one does. That's the point.
But
so how do we know that he has any connection to this land at all?
And if there has been a practice of Judaism and a connection to the language, the Bible, the land.
His ancestors didn't. He doesn't practice Judaism in any rigorous way. His ancestors didn't live here. They didn't speak the language, and there's no evidence they ever lived here. So on what basis does he have a right to be here?
Very much speaks the language. He has fought for the land. His family has fought for the land.
You're dodging a very obvious question, which is, where does this right come from? And the reason it's meaningful is because there are a lot of people in the territory that Israel controls today, particularly in the West Bank, who, through genetic testing, we can know their families have been here for thousands of years. We don't know whether they practiced Judaism, whether they were Samaritans, pre-Islam. We don't know that. A lot of them we know have been Christians for 2,000 years. They have less of a right to the land than someone whose ancestors, the only thing we know about them is they lived in Latvia or Poland. They're Eastern European. How does that work?
They're Jewish.
By what definition?
They're Jewish by their
But how do we know they have any connection
They're
to
Jewish
the
by
Jews
their
of the,
faith. They're
of the
Jewish
Bible?
by the connection to the language. Jewish by the connection to the Torah.
But how do we know that Bibi, specifically Bibi's ancestors, ever lived here? How do we know that?
I'm not sure if I understand your question.
How do we know if the Prime Minister of Israel's ancestors ever lived?
Maybe I could ask you, how do we know they didn't? I mean,
well, it's on the basis of the claim that they did that all kinds of things happen. People are displaced. There's a money flow. I mean, it's a big question. A lot hangs on this. It's not some theoretical thing like, ooh, you know, did my grandparents do this or do that? It's like, no, we have a right to be here because my ancestors were here. Okay, how do we know they were here?
I'm totally unable.
Because what you mean, the video that I posted a few days ago of the ICE agent's wife who walked in on her husband getting his cheeks clapped by one of his co-workers, the update is now posted. Go check it out.
Wait, is this Ghislaine Maxwell?
Ghislaine? Do I know you? You know Ghislaine?
No, sorry.
No? I used to order Hello Pizza off of her.
Oh, really?
She always delivered, yeah.
This video has been going viral online, and although Grok says that this video has been heavily edited, it says that the base video looks to be real from Quebec City, Canada. Obviously, this looks a lot more like Ghislaine than this. People are also wondering, who's the guy she's talking to? And there's a lot of people that think it looks a whole lot like Alan Dershowitz, Epstein's lawyer. But what about the cane? I couldn't find any photos of Alan walking with a cane, but it turns out that in June of 2015, Alan Dershowitz reported that he was walking with a cane due to injuries sustained from falling on a puddle at TD Gardens in 2012. What are the odds? The internet's wild and who knows what's real, but when he says Ghislaine and she does that double take, ooh, that does seem suspicious. Do you think this is a lookalike or the real deal? Because if this video is real, the teeth look the same and so do the eyes and nose.
It's just moving around the moon. Oh my gosh, Isaiah, look. There's something. Holy crap. What is that? I'm not even playing around. That is not normal. It's different colors. This is insane. I've never seen this before in my life. That is something, Zaya. What is that? Stop, Zaya. That is really weird.
Another one just went off. Another one. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, something just happened. Okay. Well, let's stay in touch. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
How many boots on the ground has the U.S. placed on behalf of Israel?
However many went to Iraq. We did that for Israel.
No, I don't think we did.
But you said we did it because of 9/11?
The U.S. government told us it was for 9/11.
But they knew they had nothing to do with 9/11, obviously. There's no evidence.
But I'm
so
telling
what
you
was the
that
actual
Israel was
reason?
not in that component.
That's not what the people who made the decision say. They say Israel.
Well, let me get back to the point.
Why are millions of Epstein files still classified? Why do you think that is?
I have no idea. I haven't kept up with that. I've never met the man. I don't know him.
You haven't kept up with the Epstein disclosure?
I mean, only from a distance. I'm 6,000 miles away from D.C. these days. And I'm pretty sure that there's so much going on.
The current president of Israel, who I know you know, President Herzog,
know him very well,
apparently was at Pedo Island. That's what it says in the disclosures. And of course, we know that the former prime minister, Ehud Barak, was living on and off at Epstein's house. So still living high-level Israeli officials are directly implicated in Epstein's life, if not his crimes. So I would think that you'd be following that.
Only, I was not aware that there was any connection with President Herzog. I would be surprised to hear that, and I knew there was about the former prime minister, who apparently had a lot of dealings with Epstein.
Business dealings, and by the way, I'm not alleging anything, but I mean, it's in the Epstein files, and I don't know that I've heard the current president of Israel respond to it, but he is listed as a visitor to Pedo Island, so that's kind of a big deal. I wonder, considering there are so many suggestions in the files, as I'm sure you know, of sexual abuse, and given that Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted sex offender, I wonder why the administration you work for would be holding millions of files, which I believe belong to the public, hidden for, quote, national security reasons. What would those national security reasons be, do you think?
Honestly, I think you've probably got more access to the White House sometimes than I do. You should ask them.
Well, but you're the government official representing that White House.
In Israel. And I represent the U.S. in Israel to the Israeli government from the U.S. government. But honestly, nobody has presented that to us.
Well, now
we have
that
a
you
pretty
know that
dynamic situation here. I don't know if you know that or not, but there's a lot going on in this part of the world. And frankly, that has not been top line item.
But you're surprised to hear that the current president of Israel, whom you know, is listed as a visitor to Pedo Island.
Had never heard that. Never heard it even in the Israeli press.
Are you going to ask him next time you see him?
I'll be happy to. Talk to him almost every week.
I guess what I'm asking is not simply as a representative of my government or a high U.S. official, but just as like a man and a father and a Christian. How could you resist saying, like, were you on Pedo Island with Jeffrey Epstein?
Well, if I'm not aware of it. And secondly, there are a lot of things that go on in the world. I don't question every single person about every single thing that may be alleged about.
Country.
I understand all that, but this is the first I've ever heard of this. So why do you expect me to have knowledge of something like that?
Well, because you attacked me personally for suggesting that Jeffrey Epstein had ties to Mossad, and you said that.
You think he does?
Well, it's very clear he does from the files.
You think he does? From where do you get that?
Well, the fact that he was in contact repeatedly with members of the Israeli government, including the current president and the former prime minister, and all kinds of Israeli intel-connected people. I'm not saying he worked for Mossad. I don't think we know that. But there's no question that he had extensive contact with CIA.
I think you said it, a turning point event. Everybody knows Jeffrey Epstein.
I said everyone thinks. And it turns out everyone was right, that he did have.
I'm not sure everyone was right or everyone thinks.
Okay, but you said that I was lying, and I don't want to make this about me.
I don't think I said you were lying, Tucker. I don't recall.
I'm just saying, why don't we release all the files, and then we don't need to guess?
I got no problem with that. Go ahead.
Would you call on it? Well, because you weighed in on it and said that this was not true, when of course...
I said there was no evidence.
Well, there's quite a bit of evidence, but you haven't apparently bothered to read any of the files. Is that what you're saying?
I have not read the Epstein files. Apparently you have.
Well, they're on the internet.
But when you say that that everybody knows that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent.
That everyone believes that.
I don't think everybody does. I don't know.
Well, everyone knows that he had contact with, and by the way, not just Israeli intelligence, American intelligence, which is much more distressing for me. I'm not Israeli, I'm American. I don't want my government having any contact with someone like Jeffrey Epstein. So the shame
I wouldn't either.
Is on the United States, as far as I'm concerned, just to be totally clear about that. Everyone's very sensitive about the Israel connection, not at all sensitive about the US connection, which I find very revealing. We should care about what our government does first, I think. But since you weighed in on it and said there's no evidence, I'm surprised that since that evidence has been open to the public for a month, since you've already weighed in publicly on this question, that you've made no effort to evaluate that evidence.
Quick World War III update. There's a lot of information coming down in the middle of the night right now. So Pakistan has airstriked Afghanistan and have killed at least 16 people. Some sources are saying 23 people. Ukraine got bombed pretty heavily as well. Kim Jong-un has said that this country is a terrorist organization backed by Washington. China has said that if the U.S. strikes first, the U.S. will not strike second. So a threat. But China said they will not strike first. If you saw my last post, China and Russia are outside of Iran as well. For what it's worth, Lindsey Graham said that Trump should just do it. He should just go into Iran. For the past few hours, there have been a lot of jets and bombers leaving the United States. People are seeing these from trackers, and as well as people on the East Coast are saying they've been seeing these fly overhead for the past few hours. There's a Navy drone over Iran as well right now. And it seems like things are escalating very fast. It doesn't really seem like it's a matter of if now. It really does seem like it's a matter of when. And for what it's worth, there's this 4chan post that said it was supposed to happen on February 20th. But there was some technical difficulties on the military end, apparently. He says that we have probably 24 hours, but he said that's our best bet. Sounds like it's going to happen regardless. And I don't know, man. We are in crazy times, so just be safe, man.
Starting this year, all the fast food giants have indicated a move towards fully automated kitchens. So everything within the kitchen will be fully automated. The industry itself in robotics is expected to be worth about $2 billion. And that's a move from 2026 over to 2030, where all kitchens will be fully automated. As you see here, they're cooking the patties and they can even assemble the sandwiches. They all have this tech now, it's running through testing, but starting this year, they're going to start to roll it out. They're calling them modular kitchens, and it'll have a software called Ready on Arrival. So you'll arrive in the drive-through, place your order to an AI, and then the AI will make it and deliver it to you in your car.
Why the fuck is bright ass fucking rainbow shooting in the, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is that? Is that like a projector? That's weird. What the fuck?
Guys, look how huge the burgers are in Egypt compared to the US. I'm gonna take a video of one in the US when I get home after. We don't have this in the US, but still, like, a Big Mac should be this big. This thing's freaking huge. That's a McChicken too. It's the same size.
This is fucking insane. $7 for 10 slices of cheese? I need to get the fuck out of the US.
We might see the collapse of the flat tire business because of this polymer that's sprayable on the inside of a tire starting to become a standard. It's already standard in some models of Tesla, Ford, and Volkswagen cars. And as you can see here, they're putting it to the real test. Like, you run over a nail or anything like that, that's not going to stop the tire. It's not going to make it go flat. It'll last its entire life.
Gila? Do I know you?
What?
No, sorry. No?
Yo, that's her.
Hello, pizza officer.
Oh, really? Yo, is that her brother? Didn't that look like Philip Maxwell?
It's clear. We don't need to ask any more questions. It's clear that the government is protecting names of the perpetrators in sex trafficking, cannibalism, and pedophilia. Per the Constitution, it is the duty and the right of the U.S. citizens to overthrow a government that no longer serves the people. I don't want a government that is protecting pedophiles. That is not serving the people. It's not going to overthrow itself. I think that we need to get really organized. I'm going to drop my state in the comments. If you're in my state, feel free to message me. I will be working with other activists who are ready for change.